You're about to uncover a mystery that has been shrouded in secrecy for centuries. A phenomenon so bizarre, it's hard to imagine that it's real. But the truth is, there are countless reports of dolls moving on their own, leaving people stunned and bewildered. You might be thinking, is this just a creepy urban legend? But the reality is, this phenomenon has been documented for centuries, and its causes remain unknown. Imagine walking into a dusty antique shop, surrounded by relics from a bygone era. You notice a peculiar-looking doll on a shelf, with a twisted expression and a tattered dress. As you glance at it, you could swear you see it twitch ever so slightly. You rub your eyes, wondering if it was just a trick of the light. But when you look again, the doll seems to be moving, its arms and legs shifting imperceptibly. You try to shake off the feeling of unease, telling yourself it's just your imagination playing tricks on you. But the truth is, you're not alone in this experience. People from all walks of life have reported seeing their dolls move, often in their own homes, without any apparent explanation. It's as if these inanimate objects have developed a strange, otherworldly energy. Some believe that cursed dolls are the result of dark magic or voodoo, while others think it's simply a manifestation of our collective imagination. But the real question is, could there be something more sinister at play? As a curious individual, you're probably wondering what could cause these dolls to move on their own. Is it the work of a mischievous spirit, or perhaps a manifestation of our collective unconscious? The truth is, we may never know for certain. But what we do know is that this phenomenon has been documented for centuries, with reports dating back to ancient civilizations. One of the earliest recorded cases of moving dolls was in ancient Egypt, where a series of mysterious deaths were attributed to a cursed doll made from human hair. The doll, which was said to have been created by a powerful sorcerer, was believed to have brought misfortune and death to those who possessed it. As you can imagine, this legend has been passed down through the ages, with each new generation adding its own twist and interpretation. Fast forward to the 19th century, when a series of bizarre incidents involving moving dolls occurred in England. A series of reports described dolls moving on their own, often in the dead of night, with witnesses claiming to have seen them walking around, as if possessed by some unseen force. The cases were so widespread that they even caught the attention of the press, with newspapers running sensationalized stories about the haunted dolls. But what's really interesting is that these reports often shared a common thread. The dolls in question were all made from human hair. It's as if the very fabric of the doll was imbued with a dark, otherworldly energy. You might be thinking, is this just a coincidence? But the truth is, there's no clear explanation for why these dolls would behave in such an unusual way. As you delve deeper into the mystery of the moving doll, you begin to realize that there's more to this phenomenon than meets the eye. It's not just about a creepy urban legend or a series of bizarre incidents. It's about exploring the unknown, the unexplained, and the eerie. You start to wonder, could it be that these dolls are somehow tapping into our collective psyche, revealing hidden fears and desires? Think about it. Dolls have been a part of human culture for centuries, serving as symbols of innocence, childhood, and playfulness. But what happens when they take on a life of their own? Do they become vessels for our deepest fears, or perhaps a manifestation of our collective unconscious? The truth is, we may never know for certain. But one thing is for sure, the phenomenon of moving dolls has left us with more questions than answers. As you continue to explore this mystery, you begin to realize that the line between reality and fantasy is thinning. You start to wonder, could it be that the moving doll is a reflection of our own inner selves, a manifestation of our darkest fears and desires? Or perhaps it's something more sinister, a sign of something malevolent lurking in the shadows. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain. The phenomenon of moving dolls has captured our imagination, leaving us with a sense of wonder and unease. As you continue to delve deeper into this mystery, you're left with more questions than answers. But that's what makes it so fascinating, don't you think? So what do you think? Could the moving doll be a sign of something more sinister at play? Or is it just a manifestation of our collective imagination? Let us know in the comments below. You might be thinking, is this some kind of urban legend, a spooky tale to scare kids into behaving? But the truth is, there are countless reports of dolls moving on their own, leaving people stunned and bewildered. As you delve deeper into this phenomenon, it's essential to separate fact from fiction. Let's start by debunking some common myths surrounding cursed dolls. One of the most enduring myths is that these dolls are the result of voodoo or witchcraft. Some people believe that the dolls are possessed by evil spirits, and that's why they seem to move of their own accord. However, there's no concrete evidence linking voodoo or witchcraft to the moving doll phenomenon. In fact, most reported cases of moving dolls can be explained by natural causes, like heat and humidity. You see, when a doll is left in a warm, humid environment, it can expand and contract, making it appear as though it's moving. This is especially true for dolls made of materials like wood or fabric, which can absorb moisture and change shape over time. It's not exactly a ghostly presence, but rather a simple case of physics and chemistry at work. But that's not all. Our own perception can also play a significant role in the moving doll phenomenon. Have you ever noticed how our brains can play tricks on us, making us see things that aren't really there? This is especially true when we're in a state of heightened anxiety or stress. If you're expecting to see a doll move, your brain might be primed to notice even the slightest movement, making it seem more pronounced than it actually is. Let me give you an example. A few years ago, a family in the United States reported that their antique doll was moving on its own. They claimed that they would leave the doll in a room, and when they returned, it would be in a different position. However, when investigators looked into the case, they discovered that the doll was actually being moved by the family's own children, who were playing a prank on their parents. This is a classic case of pareidolia, where our brains turn neutral stimuli into meaningful patterns. In this case, the children were creating the illusion of a moving doll by subtly moving it while their parents were distracted. It's not exactly a haunted doll, but rather a clever ruse by some mischievous kids. Another common myth surrounding cursed dolls is that they're a sign of bad luck or impending doom. Some people believe that if you own a moving doll, you're cursed and bad things will happen to you. However, there's no scientific evidence to support this claim. In fact, many people who own moving dolls report no adverse effects whatsoever. In fact, some people have even turned the moving doll phenomenon into a business opportunity. They create and sell moving dolls as a form of entertainment, using tricks and illusions to create the illusion of movement. It's a clever way to make a living, and it shows that the moving doll phenomenon can be harnessed for fun and profit. So what's really going on with these moving dolls? Is it a case of supernatural forces at work? Or is it something more mundane? The truth is, it's likely a bit of both. While there are certainly some unexplained cases of moving dolls, most can be explained by natural causes and our own perception. As you continue to explore this phenomenon, keep in mind that the line between fact and fiction can be blurry. Don't be afraid to question the evidence and look for alternative explanations. And remember, just because something seems spooky or supernatural doesn't mean it's necessarily true. In the next section, we'll be exploring some of the most bizarre cases of moving dolls, and we'll be delving deeper into the psychology behind this phenomenon. But for now, let's take a step back and re-examine what we know. Is the moving doll phenomenon a case of cursed dolls, or is it something more explainable? The answer, as always, lies in the details. You might be thinking, but what about all those reports of people hearing strange noises or seeing shadowy figures? We'll be exploring those cases in more detail soon. But for now, let's focus on the basics. What do we really know about moving dolls, and how can we separate fact from fiction? The answer, my friend, lies in the evidence, and that's what we'll be examining next. As you continue to explore the phenomenon of the cursed doll that moves when no one's watching, you're likely wondering what's behind this mysterious behavior. Let's dive into the world of parapsychology and explore the possibilities of paranormal activity. Parapsychology is the study of phenomena that can't be explained by conventional science. It encompasses a range of topics, from telepathy and clairvoyance to ghosts and hauntings. While it may sound like the realm of science fiction, parapsychology is a legitimate field of study that has been gaining traction in recent years. One of the key concepts in parapsychology is the idea of residual energy. This suggests that events, emotions, and even thoughts can leave behind a kind of energetic imprint on a location or object. Imagine a place where a traumatic event occurred, and the energy of that event still lingers long after it's happened. This concept is often referred to as a residual or imprinted energy. Researchers have proposed that this residual energy could be responsible for the moving doll phenomenon. They suggest that the doll might be acting as a kind of receiver for this energy, allowing it to manifest in a physical way. But how does this energy get transferred to the doll in the first place? One theory is that it's related to the electromagnetic fields that surround us. You see, everything in the universe is made up of tiny particles called electrons, which are in constant motion. These electrons give off a kind of energy that's detectable by special instruments. And it's this energy that might be influencing the doll's movements. Imagine you're in a room with a lot of electronic devices, like computers and televisions. You'd expect the air to be filled with electromagnetic fields, right? Well, researchers have found that these fields can be quite strong, and they might even be able to cause small objects to move. But is it really the doll that's moving, or is it something else entirely? Could it be that the doll is simply acting as a kind of sensor for other forces at play in the environment? Perhaps it's not the doll that's moving at all, but rather the space around it. This idea might sound far-fetched, but it's actually been explored in a number of studies. Researchers have used specialized equipment to measure the electromagnetic fields in environments where the moving doll phenomenon has been reported. And what they've found is that these fields are often significantly stronger than usual. So what does this mean? Is it possible that the doll is simply a conduit for these electromagnetic forces, allowing them to manifest in a physical way? It's a tantalizing idea, and one that's certainly worth exploring further. As you continue to explore the world of parapsychology and the moving doll phenomenon, you'll find that there are many more questions than answers. But one thing's for sure, the truth behind the cursed doll is far more complex and intriguing than you might have ever imagined. You might be wondering, what's the next step in understanding this phenomenon? How can we continue to explore the science behind the moving doll? And what might we learn from it? One way to approach this is to look at the concept of vibrational resonance. This suggests that everything in the universe is connected through a kind of vibrational energy. Imagine that the doll is somehow tuned to this energy, allowing it to resonate with the environment around it. This idea is closely related to the concept of scalar waves, which are a type of energy that can travel through space without being affected by distance or other environmental factors. It's a mind-bending concept, to say the least, but one that might hold the key to understanding the moving doll phenomenon. So, what can we take away from this exploration of the moving doll phenomenon? We've seen that it's not just a simple case of a creepy doll moving on its own. There are complex forces at play, involving electromagnetic fields, residual energy, and even vibrational resonance. As you continue to delve deeper into this mystery, you'll find that the truth is far more fascinating than you might have ever imagined. But for now, let's leave the question of what's behind the moving doll on the table and explore some of the common mistakes people make when trying to understand this phenomenon. In the next section, we'll look at some of the misconceptions and myths surrounding the moving doll. We'll examine why people might be drawn to this phenomenon and what they might be looking for in trying to understand it. And we'll even explore some of the most common explanations for the moving doll, from ghosts and spirits to electromagnetic forces and more. So, stay tuned and get ready to dive even deeper into the world of the cursed doll that moves when no one's watching. You're now about to delve into some of the most fascinating real-world examples and case studies related to the cursed doll phenomenon. These stories will not only shed more light on the mystery, but also give you a deeper understanding of what's at play. Let's start with one of the most famous cases, Robert the Doll. This creepy toy has been at the center of attention for many years, and its reputation for moving on its own is well documented. What makes Robert the Doll so unique is its history. The doll was given to a young boy named Robert Jean Otto in the 1920s, and over the years, numerous strange occurrences were reported around it. People claim that Robert the Doll has moved on its own, changed positions, and even scratched people. Some say that the doll is a vessel for a malevolent spirit, while others believe it's a manifestation of the boy's own psyche. Whatever the explanation, one thing is clear. Robert the Doll has become a cultural icon of sorts, symbolizing the unexplained and the unknown. Another example that's often cited is the Enfield poltergeist. This case, which took place in the late 1970s, involved a family who claimed that their moving doll was a sign of paranormal activity. The family, who were living in a council house in Enfield, London, reported a series of strange occurrences, including furniture moving on its own and objects being thrown. The most striking aspect of the Enfield poltergeist case is the fact that the moving doll was said to be a key part of the paranormal activity. The family claimed that the doll would move on its own and even change positions, often in response to their own actions. While the case is still shrouded in mystery, it's undeniable that the Enfield poltergeist is one of the most well-documented cases of paranormal activity in history. So, what can we learn from these cases? How can we apply this knowledge to our own investigation? The first thing to note is that these cases are not isolated incidents. They're part of a larger pattern of mysterious events that defy explanation. Robert the Doll and the Enfield poltergeist may seem like unrelated cases, but they share a common thread. Both involve a sense of unease and discomfort, a feeling that something is not quite right. This unease is often accompanied by a sense of fear, as people try to make sense of the unexplainable. As you continue to explore the cursed doll phenomenon, it's essential to keep an open mind. Don't be afraid to consider the possibility that there's more to these cases than meets the eye. Remember that the unknown can be both fascinating and terrifying, and that's what makes these cases so compelling. One of the most interesting aspects of the cursed doll phenomenon is the way it taps into our collective psyche. We're drawn to stories of the unexplained and the unknown, and the cursed doll phenomenon is no exception. Whether we're fascinated by the supernatural or simply enjoy a good mystery, the cursed doll has a way of captivating our imagination. As you venture deeper into the world of cursed dolls, you'll encounter many more stories and cases that will challenge your perceptions and push your boundaries. But remember, the key to understanding these mysteries is to approach them with an open mind and a willingness to explore the unknown. Now, let's take a closer look at the psychological aspects of the cursed doll phenomenon. What role does our imagination play in shaping our perceptions of these mysterious events? And how can we differentiate between fact and fiction in the world of cursed dolls? The more you learn about the cursed doll phenomenon, the more you'll realize that there's no clear answer to these questions. The truth is, the cursed doll is a complex and multifaceted phenomenon that resists easy explanation. But that's what makes it so fascinating, right? As you continue to explore the cursed doll phenomenon, keep in mind that you're not just learning about a strange and fascinating topic. You're also exploring your own perceptions and biases. The cursed doll is a mirror held up to our collective psyche, reflecting our deepest fears and desires. And that's a scary thought, isn't it? The idea that our own imaginations can create a reality that's just as real as the physical world. It's a notion that's both fascinating and terrifying, and it's what makes the cursed doll phenomenon so compelling. As you move forward in your investigation, remember that the cursed doll is a journey, not a destination. It's a path that winds its way through the unknown, leading you to places you never thought you'd go. And it's a journey that's full of surprises, twists, and turns. So what's the next step in your investigation? Where do you go from here? The answers, my friend, are yours to discover. You've likely heard the stories about the cursed doll that moves when no one's watching. But what's behind this phenomenon? As we continue to explore the world of parapsychology, we're going to touch on the psychology behind the moving doll. Now, I know what you're thinking. What does psychology have to do with a creepy doll? But bear with me, because this is where things get really interesting. Here's the thing. Our brains are wired to recognize patterns. We're constantly looking for connections and explanations for the world around us. But sometimes, this can lead us to misinterpret natural phenomena as paranormal activity. Think about it. Have you ever seen a shadow on the wall and immediately thought it was a ghost? Or heard a strange noise and assumed it was a spirit trying to communicate with you? It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of the unknown, and before you know it, you're convinced that the doll is haunted. The power of suggestion also plays a significant role in the moving doll phenomenon. Have you ever seen a video or a picture of a creepy doll, and then suddenly started to see them everywhere? This is a classic example of the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon, where our brains start to notice patterns and connections that aren't really there. It's like our brains are trying to make sense of the world, and we become convinced that the doll is moving because our minds are primed to see it that way. But what does this say about our own perceptions and biases? It's a great question. When we see the doll moving, we're not just seeing it with our eyes, we're also seeing it with our minds. We're interpreting the information we receive and making sense of it based on our own experiences and biases. This is exactly what psychologists mean by cognitive bias, a systematic error in thinking that affects the way we perceive reality. Take, for example, the concept of illusory correlation. This is when we see a relationship between two events that aren't actually related. Let's say you see a doll move, and then you happen to hear a strange noise in the background. Your brain might start to think that the noise is somehow connected to the doll moving, even though there's no actual link between the two. This is a classic example of illusory correlation, and it's a powerful reminder of how our brains can play tricks on us. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but what about the real-life cases of people who claim to have seen the doll move? These stories are undoubtedly fascinating, and they can be a great way to learn more about the human psyche. But when we examine these cases closely, we often find that there are more rational explanations for what's happening. Maybe the person who saw the doll move was experiencing a vivid imagination, or maybe they were influenced by external factors, such as suggestion or expectation. The point is, our brains are incredibly powerful tools that can both help and hinder us. But when we're faced with the moving doll, we have a choice. We can let our fears and biases take over, or we can approach the situation with a clear and rational mind. As we continue to explore the world of parapsychology, it's essential to keep our minds open and our thinking critical. We're not looking to explain away the moving doll as a trick of the mind. We're looking to understand the complexities of the human experience. And that's exactly what we're going to do next. In the next section, we're going to delve into some of the most fascinating real-world examples and case studies related to the cursed doll phenomenon. These stories will not only shed more light on the mystery, but also give you a deeper understanding of what's at play. So, stick with me, and let's continue to explore the fascinating world of the cursed doll. Here's the script content that meets the requirements. As you continue to explore the world of the cursed doll, you might be wondering if there's more to this phenomenon than meets the eye. Or, to put it more precisely, is there more to it than our perception of reality? Let's consider the possibility that the moving doll phenomenon is not paranormal, but rather a result of our own minds. Think about it. Have you ever seen a pattern or image that seemed to shift or change when you looked away? This is a classic example of pareidolia, a psychological phenomenon where our brains interpret ambiguous stimuli as meaningful patterns. It's like our minds are wired to find meaning, even when there isn't any. And it's not just limited to visual patterns. Our brains can create complex movements and sounds, too. Research has shown that our brains can generate fake memories, even when there's no external stimulus to support them. This is known as confabulation, and it's a fascinating example of how our minds can create reality. So, what if the moving doll is not a paranormal event, but rather a product of our own minds? What if our brains are creating the very thing we're trying to explain? Now, I know what you're thinking, but what about the countless eyewitness accounts of the moving doll? Well, here's the thing. Eyewitness testimony is notoriously unreliable. In fact, studies have shown that people are more likely to remember a story that's emotionally charged or attention-grabbing, rather than one that's factually accurate. So, while eyewitness testimony can be compelling, it's not always a reliable indicator of what actually happened. But here's the thing. If our brains are creating the moving doll phenomenon, then we might be able to unlock the truth behind it. Think about it. If our minds are capable of creating complex patterns and movements, then what if we're just seeing what we expect to see? What if the moving doll is simply a manifestation of our own collective expectations? This raises some fascinating questions about the nature of reality and how we perceive it. If our brains are capable of creating fake memories and patterns, then what does that say about the reliability of our perceptions? And if we're just seeing what we expect to see, then how can we trust what we think we know? These are the kinds of questions that get to the heart of the cursed doll phenomenon. It's not just about a creepy doll that moves when no one's looking. It's about the human mind and how it works. And that's what makes this mystery so compelling. So, let's keep exploring and see where this journey takes us. You might be thinking, but what about the other explanations we've discussed so far? Well, here's the thing. The moving doll phenomenon is a complex and multifaceted phenomenon, and it's unlikely that there's just one explanation for it. Instead, it's probably a combination of factors that come together to create this eerie and inexplicable experience. And that's what makes this mystery so fascinating. It's a puzzle that's still waiting to be solved. So, let's keep exploring and see if we can uncover the truth behind the cursed doll. Will we find a logical explanation for this phenomenon, or will we discover something even more surprising? The journey continues, and the mystery remains unsolved for now. You've now reached a pivotal moment in our investigation into the moving doll phenomenon. As we've delved deeper into the psychology behind it, explored alternative theories, and pieced together evidence, it's clear that the truth is far more complex and multifaceted than we initially thought. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. From our previous sections, we've established that the moving doll is not just a simple case of misperception or a prank gone wrong. Instead, it's a phenomenon that involves a combination of psychological, social, and cultural factors. We've seen how the power of suggestion can influence our perceptions, how the doll's design and presentation can evoke strong emotions, and how our collective experiences and memories can shape our understanding of reality. By combining these insights, we can start to piece together a more comprehensive picture of the moving doll phenomenon. We're not talking about a ghost or a supernatural entity. We're talking about a complex interplay of psychological, social, and cultural forces that can create an illusion of movement. And it's this illusion that can have a profound impact on our minds and our perceptions. But here's the thing. This phenomenon isn't just about the moving doll itself. It's about the way we perceive and interact with the world around us. It's about how our brains process information, how we form memories, and how we share experiences with others. It's about the power of suggestion, the influence of social norms, and the importance of critical thinking. So, what can we take away from this investigation, and how can we apply it to our own lives? For one, it's essential to be aware of the power of suggestion and the influence of social norms. When we're exposed to information or experiences that are presented as true or real, we need to question our assumptions and critically evaluate the evidence. We need to be mindful of our own biases and preconceptions and be willing to challenge our own understanding of the world. It's also crucial to recognize that our experiences and memories are not always objective or factual. They can be influenced by a range of factors, including our emotions, our social context, and our cultural background. By being aware of these factors, we can begin to develop a more nuanced understanding of reality and our place within it. Finally, it's essential to cultivate a sense of curiosity and openness to new experiences and ideas. By embracing the unknown and being willing to challenge our assumptions, we can gain a deeper understanding of the world and our place within it. And it's this curiosity and openness that can lead us to new insights and discoveries and help us navigate the complexities of the world around us. As we continue to explore the mysteries of the moving doll, we're not just investigating a strange phenomenon. We're exploring the very fabric of reality itself. And it's this exploration that can lead us to new insights, new discoveries, and a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. So, let's continue to question, to explore, and to seek out the truth, no matter how complex or multifaceted it may be. As we continue to explore the mysteries of the cursed doll, it's essential to remain open-minded and curious. You might be thinking, but have you ever wondered what might happen if you leave a doll in a room all night? The truth is, the moving doll phenomenon is more complex and multifaceted than we initially thought. What if it's not just about perception, but about the way our brains process information? Let's take a step back and consider the science behind the moving doll phenomenon. Our brains are wired to recognize patterns, but what if it's not just about patterns? What if it's about the way we perceive reality itself? Take a look at the eerie footage of Robert the doll in action, the way it seems to move on its own, seemingly defying the laws of physics. But what if it's not the doll that's moving at all? By combining our insights, we can start to piece together a more comprehensive picture of the moving doll phenomenon. You'll remember the case study of the doll that was left in a room, only to be found in a different position the next morning. What if the moving doll phenomenon is not paranormal, but rather a result of our own minds? What if our brains are creating the illusion of movement rather than actually perceiving it? As we continue to explore the mysteries of the cursed doll, it's essential to remain open-minded and curious. You might be thinking, what if I could uncover new insights and breakthroughs by embracing the unknown? The truth is, the moving doll phenomenon is a perfect example of how our minds can play tricks on us. By being willing to challenge our assumptions, we can uncover new information and gain a deeper understanding of this complex phenomenon. So what's next in our investigation? How can you get involved and continue to explore the mysteries of the cursed doll? By the end of this investigation, you'll have a deeper understanding of the moving doll phenomenon and its complexities. You'll be able to apply your knowledge to real-world situations and make informed decisions about the paranormal. Stay curious and keep exploring the mysteries of the cursed doll. You never know what new insights and breakthroughs you might discover. As you continue to delve deeper into the world of the cursed doll, remember that the truth is often stranger than fiction. Don't be afraid to challenge your assumptions and ask questions. And most importantly, keep a curious and open-minded perspective. You never know what you might discover. Share your thoughts on the science behind the moving doll phenomenon, and let's continue to explore the mysteries of the cursed doll together. What alternative theories do you think might be worth exploring further? How does the psychology of the cursed doll relate to your own experiences? Join the conversation, and let's keep the investigation going.